This is a video capture of a presentation at the TENZ meeting which was held at Cambridge High School. My name's Ian Rudkin and I'm a teacher at St Paul's Collegiate, and I'm going to be introducing the DVC resource called Graphics for Teachers. The key feature of the Graphics for Teachers resources is to use relevant movement through animation to optimize student engagement. Let's take a look at a couple of examples to help explain this. First of all, example number 1. At the early stages of our students learning how to draw formally, we introduce them to the concept of a baseline. Now, if students aren't paying attention to the height or what instrument to use, this can be a problem. Also, that's compounded when we then tell them to draw lines along the baseline at a certain distance as shown here. Often, even at this early stage, teachers find themselves having to carry out remedial work with their students. Now let's take a look at the same example number 1, but this time we'll look at the animated version. So, first of all, we'll advise students to take the ruler and measure up from the bottom of the page 60 millimeters and leave a mark behind. Then we'll advise them to use their T-squares and project a light construction line across the page. Then we tell our students to again take the ruler and this time measure from the left-hand side of the page 50 millimeters and leave a mark. And then move their rulers to the right as shown and measure along to the right from that mark a further 120 millimeters. Let's do a very quick recap of those key instructions that were included. Firstly, students were left in no doubt as to where are you measuring from, given the red arrow that's animated in the direction. Secondly, students should have no doubt what instruments they're using, as they're clearly shown on the screen. Also, there shouldn't be any doubt for them about how far you're measuring, as that is animated as well. And the last part is they're told exactly what to do, which is putting a mark on that particular point. Okay, let's look at one more example, number 2. So this is a very familiar drawing to all of us, which is an isometric circle. We're going to do it on the top surface. And as teachers, we know we add line after line, and the students have to keep up and follow what can be quite a confusing lesson for some students. Now, as DVC teachers, we all know if students miss any lines out here and they have to help them, it can create issues for the workflow of the whole class. So let's again take a look at the same example, and this time the animated version. So again, we'll start off at the same point with the cube. And now what we'd be doing is advising students to take their T-square and project a light line joining the two corners as shown. And this time with their T-square and their set square, we're going to draw a vertical line as shown here. Now there's an opportunity to explain the difference. For example, we can see that there's a major axis which is longer than this axis, which is the minor axis, and clearly shorter. Now, as we all know, the next instruction would be to take our 30-degree set square and project a line through the intersection of those two lines. And again, turning our set square around, again at 30 degrees, projecting another line through that intersection. So as you can see, there are various techniques for drawing students' attention. For example, highlighting a point in the drawing is shown here, and we'd advise students go from that point up to where the green line intersects the back left-hand side as shown here, and again up to the back right as illustrated here. And again, highlighting a point in the drawing is shown, and again using that to advise the students of what's happening next in the drawing. Let's just fast forward this next part of the drawing lesson, as we all know it very well, but it'll just illustrate how some of the animations are carried out for this particular drawing. Just finally as well, once we've completed the drawing, you'll notice some of the lines were in colour, and when we move on to the next surface, those colours will just fade so they're not a distraction to the next bit of instruction. Now, another feature of the Graphics for Teachers website is how each drawing starts. Each drawing begins with what the students will have when they've completed it. Let's look at an example of a skate ramp drawing. Now, this is going to be an oblique drawing that they'll complete that will look like this, and they will need to use a 45-degree set square to complete the drawing. They're also going to be drawing an isometric of the shape, and in order to do that, they'll be using a 30-degree set square in this direction, and also the 30-degree set square in this direction. So that's one example. Let's take a quick look at another example. So this drawing is a drawing using tangents and of a currently familiar object, the fidget spinner. So we just start off by showing them the object that they're going to draw, and then show them what their final drawing will look like. Now, when teachers are using the presentations, here's some tips. First of all, use a wireless mouse. This allows you to move around the room and monitor the class very effectively and improves their productivity and behaviour. Also, use the scroll button, as each lesson has on average more than 1,000 animations, and it allows you to move fluidly through the presentation and backwards to redraw lines whenever you need to. So here are some of my observations when I've been using Graphics for Teachers. First of all, as a substitute for traditional at the board teaching. Using the G4T resources reduces your workload. Teachers aren't limited to standing at the board with their back to the class. They can now deliver the lesson from anywhere in the room, which improves both behaviour and results. Simply controlling the drawing with a wireless mouse, you can redraw any line when necessary. Also, groups or individual students can be completing different lessons at the same time, which has previously been very challenging. By using the videos, any number of lessons can be set during class time to either meet the needs of individual students or a result of student absence. The resources can also help reduce conflict. The specific animated style of each Graphics for Teacher lesson mitigates the teacher frustration as a result of students not following instructions. They also make it easy to set skills-based homework, which has been a challenge in the past also. Simply send video lesson links through student school email, Google Classroom, etc. The resources also mean it's easy to leave meaningful relief work. So students can be set a task that requires their focus and one which can clearly be completed in the space of one lesson. So please feel free to go to graphicsforteachers.com and check out the website. Once you're there, take a look at the free trial lessons linked to the green button, and also watch the brief video on the homepage that gives you a tour of the website. Okay, well, thank you for listening, and please feel free to get in touch with me, Ian Rudkin, at G4T2016 @gmail.com.